Is it possible for two people who are either married or life partners stay in love? Or after a while, do two people simply end up tolerating each other? We set out to find out what various experts believe when it comes to keeping the love alive, and what really causes a couple to start to lose their love.
Well, as I have watched couples, and from my own life and personal experience, I believe that people can stay in love. I think it's hard to define what love is, and I think what that feels like and what that means is different for different people. Relationships take a lot of hard work, and I think that for some people, when they lose kind of the excitement, the butterflies in the stomach, the kind of this heightened anticipation of seeing the person, when that goes away, and it almost always does, I think, then it's like, well, I'm not in love anymore. Other people recognize that that's going to go away, but then they build on that life together, the caring they have for each other, and it's simply, I guess you could say, another form of love. Mm-hmm. But relationship is totally what you make it. And so I think our culture, our society, has kind of led us down a path that builds expectations that have people kind of give up because, oh, I don't feel love anymore, whatever that is. But there's proof out there that people have been in long-term relationships and love each other dearly. Does it feel different than when they started? Probably. It's almost a sure thing it does. But if it's done right, whatever right is, it's better.
I guess I'm a little naive in the fact that I do believe that people can work through relationships, but I believe that relationships are things that you need to work through. It may not be perfect all the time. People aren't, the basis of human nature is that we aren't perfect, but the way that a relationship works is that we have to work through it.
According to Andy Tix, PhD, in his article about marriage and expectations called Love for a Lifetime on Psychology Today, published in 2013, the triangle theory of love says that love has three components: passion, intimacy, and commitment. Passion, intimacy, and commitment at high levels is ideal for qualifications of love, but realistically, and depending on the couple, they vary in levels of intensity.
I think love is not so much something that we discover as much as it is something we create. It's really a lifelong work in progress, and it takes two people who invest time and energy and creativity in being just a caring, respectful kind of person that cultivates the quality of relationship that is like any other relationship. If you have a friendship, you have to spend time with that person, you share common interests, you do activities together, things that build a kind of bond between the two of you. But I think less in terms of love being something that you just automatically are smitten with, although there is that dimension of romantic love, which is, one might say, not so rational. It's more based on one's emotions, feelings at the moment, the kind of attraction you feel for someone, the chemistry is such that you just are enamored with this person. But I think of that kind of love as being more like the dessert in the relationship, rather than what's really sustains it. It's something we celebrate in the context of a relationship that is based on just caring about, respecting, and spending good quality time with another person.
In John Gertner's 2003 article, The Futile Pursuit of Happiness, from the New York Times Magazine, the decisions that we make in marriage, things like what we purchase, how many children we have, and buying a house, are oftentimes based off our emotional ties to the relationship. Companionate love and relationship satisfaction generally decline over time, according to Hendrick and Adler's 1998 article, Romantic Relationships, Love, Satisfaction, and Staying Together, in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. Contrary to popular beliefs, most aging men and women rate their marriages as very happy or happy, and many elderly couples say that being in love is the most important factor in achieving marital success in a survey conducted by Hatfield, Pillemer, O'Brien, and Lee in 2008 for the Interpersona Journal.
I just think, I think too many people either get married and they shouldn't have in the first place, or it's just too easy. It's kind of like live in a sort of a disposable culture now. Something breaks, you don't try and fix it, you just get a new one. And I think that that can be said about relationships too.
And we went through some counseling at the typical 7-year problem, which is very true. I have heard so many couples, they get to the point where, it's like having a roommate that gets on your nerves. The little things that they just pile up. So there was a time period where we had some serious, not like cheating, nothing like that, but serious problems getting along.
Communication
problems.
Yeah.
And we did some counseling. We both went in with the attitude that it was the other person's problem. But the counselor was wonderful and shined the light on each of us individually to where we saw we were part of the problem. And that really helped. Would you agree?
In Marla Reese Weber's 2015 article, Intimacy, Communication, and Aggressive Behaviors, Variations by Phases of Romantic Relationship Development in the Personal Relationships Journal, she defines 3 phases to a relationship. Honeymoon, when the couple is first together, defining, when the couple is figuring out who they are and how their values align, and the established phase, where the couple has been together for some time and determined how their relationship functions. In Lorber, Erlanger, Heyman, and O'Leary's 2014 article, The Honeymoon Effect, Does It Exist and Can It Be Predicted from Prevention Science?, it was found that levels of intimacy had linear increase across phases, and that negotiation is higher in the defining and established phases as compared to the honeymoon phase.
We are hugely impacted by what we saw modeled in the families we grew up in. And often couples come in with that kind of understanding of each other. Well, I know why he does this. I know why she's that way. I see her mother, or I know his dad was abusive and he's just doing what his dad did. Or people, within relationships, I think people often look at the other's family of origin and kind of go, oh, I've got you figured out. And there's a good bit of truth in that. So we do really tend to kind of repeat the patterns that we saw modeled unless we go, oops, this doesn't work very well. And I know I didn't like being in that home as I was growing up that functioned that way. I will do something different. So
I think that it's important to recognize that in any relationship, there's going to be kind of a waxing and waning of feelings, and there will be some days where you're just kind of like sick of your partner. You see them every day and stuff like that. But what I think is important is that there are still kind of that basic love and respect for the person that you're with. And so having that kind of basic foundational love for each other is super important in maintaining that love even as your relationship grows and develops. Sometimes people fall in love and don't stay in love, and I think that's totally okay. And for some people, having that kind of like tolerant relationship of one another is what they're looking for. And so that can be respected, but I also think it's important to strive for a relationship that like stays making you happy, basically.
I guess the way I think about it is when I think of love, I think of like time and distance and all the stuff like that shouldn't matter. Because if you really do love someone, then you're willing to push through all the minor bumps that you may face in lifetime, whether that's having a few arguments or financial crises or anything like that. Just pushing through that and realizing that you told this person you love them. And when you say that, personally, what I think of that word is you are saying that not only am I willing to put up with you, but at the same time, you bring something to the table that I know no one else can. So that's why I'm dedicating this word to you.
In the Myers 2007 article, The Eternal Question, Does Love Last?, published in the American Psychological Association, The author suggests it can be difficult to say specifically that two people can stay in love. What can be suggested is that there seems to be an overlap between the influences that affect staying in love. In Kramer's 2016 article, How 10 Couples Stay Madly in Love After Many Years from the Huffington Post, people in relationships can experience both love factors and toleration factors at the same time. However, according to Acevedo, Aaron, Fisher, and Brown, in their 2012 article, Neural Correlates of Marital Satisfaction and Well-Being in Clinical Neuropsychiatry, say that certain events that happen in life can influence a relationship, affecting us more in a biological circumstance and personal experience, which is subjective. That is why every couple has different outcomes.
There are times in a typical couple's life when there is kind of a low time and where people are not experiencing the kind of joy and happiness that they got married for. And then other times, typically, that things are going well and they genuinely enjoy life together and spend a lot of time in what I call the problem-free area. A lot of couples, after they begin to have significant numbers of problems, they become so problem-focused that they forget about the qualities they really admired in each other, liked about each other, and that brought them together. And so they tend to spend less and less time and creativity and energy in their problem-free area. Dating couples are good at this. You know, they just pretend problems don't exist and they just have a good time. Mm-hmm. And the encouragement I always give to couples is you've got to reinvest in that problem-free area. And that doesn't mean that you ignore problems that you have, but you shelve them, you file them. And then at other times, you spend time together for the sole purpose of addressing problems. And you put your problems and issues and concerns on the table and attack the problems instead of attacking each other.
Gottman says in his 2014 book, Principia Amoris, that slowly over time we begin to notice the faults in our partners and need more than the initial passion to keep a relationship going. This is the tipping point where the individual needs to decide whether or not they're going to push through the faults and continue the relationship or stop and break it off. These decision-making points and points of a relationship have existed for years. Where Beagle writes in an article from 1951 titled Romantic Love from the American Sociological Review that courtly love, or the emotionally driven love, occurs when we are younger. Romantic love is what occurs when adults are rational and evaluate relationships. According to Fletcher, Simpson, Campbell, and Overall, in their 2015 article, Pair Bonding Romantic Love and Evolution, The Curious Case of Homo Sapiens, in the Journal of Perspectives on Psychological Science, there is much evidence that suggests Homo erectus lived in monogamous pair bonds, which over time led to the adaptation of romantic love. Romantic love is an evolved commitment device that stems from the initial search for a mate. However, according to Schechner in the 2008 Keeping Love Alive article from the Wall Street Journal, a slide in reported levels of romantic love is less than 14%, and most couples maintain high levels of marital happiness over long periods of time. Hazan and Shaver discussed the attachment theory in their 1987 article Romantic Love Conceptualized as an Attachment Project in the journal Personality and Social Psychology. The attachment theory suggests that when a caregiver is separated from his or her child, that child will experience predictable emotional responses. People with avoidant attachment styles in adulthood do not find themselves falling in love often, and tend to view love as unlasting. According to Adiz's 2016 article on the Huffington Post, Falling in Love and Staying in Love, she says that the key to staying in love is being honest and open with a partner, even when dealing with a delicate, intimate issue. This builds trust and understanding, even in times of change.
But you gotta be able to learn how to navigate through the rough times, and I think you gotta just play fair, and you gotta have some respect for each other. That mutual respect thing has to come into play, and you got to be willing to get help when you need it.
Yeah. She is a smart woman. She's smarter than I am. She's a go-getter and a doer, and that's fine. I am not afraid of having a strong woman as a spouse, but that's not always the case.
That is not
There are some people, in particular men, who are very threatened by that. And I don't know how you fix that, but I've never, ever been threatened by a strong. She's like the star quarterback, and you don't tell the star quarterback what to do. You just let him do it. Good job. Okay, so that's it.
I know what the big question is. Did Rapunzel and I ever get married? Well, I'm pleased to tell you that after years and years of asking and asking and asking, I finally said yes.
Eugene.
All right. I asked her.
And we're living happily ever after.
Yes, we are.